Ciao Juventini of the world, buonanotte Juventini of the world. I'm saying buonanotte because I'm recording past midnight. It's quite late, but I needed to talk about Serie A because I have a question in my mind. A question that I have since some days. Is Serie A open again after match day 12? Match day 12 that, to be honest, it's not even close because it will close tomorrow with two games, Verona-Roma and Monza-Bologna. We don't care about Monza-Bologna, of course, at the moment, but we care about Roma because the game and the result of Verona-Roma will tell us how far we are from that top four. Juventus that can't compete at the moment for the first spot, and probably we already have to say in the end of October, ciao ciao to the Scudetto with Napoli that at the moment is really unbeatable. So a few weeks ago we said we have one new mission. We have a mission that is sticking as much as possible to that top four until the international break. During the international break, when the players will go on World Cup and so on, with the players that we have in La Continassa, we'll try to recuperate the big mistakes that we did during the summer with the physical preparation, recuperating also some injuries. By the way, injuries, McKennie and Ealing Jr. are adding up to that long list that we already had. I spoke about it in the video of this morning. Well, I was also desperate after some losses in Serie A that we would end up really far away from that top four. Well, depending on Roma, we can be at -2 or eventually, worst case scenario, if Roma wins versus Verona, at -3 of that top four. If yesterday that we said that it was important for Juventus to win versus Lecce 1-0 with a goal of Fagioli and not without difficulties because it was a really difficult game for Juventus, we already spoke about it. Well, we said it was important to win because the other ones were all winning. We are speaking about Napoli 4-0, I told you, unbeatable in Serie A and in Europe, a team that is in the top of their form and probably they are going and running towards that Scudetto for the first time ever. They really seriously can believe it because there is a big game changer, the World Cup. If the teams of Spalletti, they have the problems between November, December, sometimes eventually January, well, they will totally skip these months because all the players will break going to the World Cup. Napoli will have a lot of players in their home to continue to train, to be again as a new Serie A 2.0 in the month of January and starting again with an ultra boost like they started in August. So they are a really serious candidate. And yesterday, again, 3 goals of Osimhen, that is back after the injury, hat-trick for him. 2 passes, 2 assists from Kvaratskhelia and a goal from him. We said it already. You already know it. Inter continued to win with a 3-0 yesterday versus Sampdoria. Sampdoria that was able to grab a point versus Juventus. Disaster before sacking Giampaolo. Well, the new coach that is there in Sampdoria is not doing better than Giampaolo at the moment. Atalanta winning 2-0. Atalanta without any cups are second at the moment because Milan lost. We'll come back on that game. And deservedly so, because with a lot of new names in the team of Atalanta, after a few changes, they are there. They are there without Europe. They can continue to compete. And maybe today they are the most serious candidate to make actually Napoli shamble, and we will know a lot next week when there will be the big game Napoli versus Atalanta. If Napoli wins, mamma mia, they are gone. They are totally gone. So are we supporting Atalanta next week? I don't know because it's also important for us to stick as much as possible to the top 4 and maybe hoping another thing. Udinese today, surprise after last week's that they were not able to win versus Lazio, and also that was 2 weeks ago and the last game. Well, they continue without winning for the third game in a row, drawing versus a Neopromossa, a new promoted team that is Cremonese. Fiorentina won. We don't care about Fiorentina at the moment. Big surprise in Lazio, in Roma. Lazio was actually winning 1-0 with the goal of Zaccagni, and they were recuperated by that team there. Salernitana. When I say Salernitana, I get angry. Because we could have 2 points more in that ranking that we will see in a second. It makes me still angry. Not only Salernitana. Let's not blame everything on the game of Salernitana. We have to blame ourselves. We have to blame our physical preparation, our injuries. We have to blame our coach that was not always able to take the right decisions. We have to blame our players that not always were giving the intensity, but also, if we are summing up everything, also the decision that we're taking at the last minute, cancelling that goal of Milik that could have given us 2 points more at the moment. Anyway, when I read Salernitana, I'm still here. Also because we have to speak now about the last game that was played a few hours ago between Torino and Milan. Milan with a big opportunity to score with Leao after an amazing pass of Brahim Diaz. Leao, he missed it totally. It was nearly a tap-in. He totally missed it. Then two beautiful goals of Torino that deservedly were leading with, at that moment, Milan with 0 goals and shots on target. Torino, they deserve it. What I am also angry for, speaking about VAR, I don't understand what is VAR doing in Serie A this season. Because they are cancelling a totally correct goal for Juventus, Milik versus Salernitana, but today there will be no consequences because at the end Milan lost. Big surprise, Torino that was able to beat Milan. But at a certain moment there is a goal of Messia after he clearly pushed Buongiorno, the defender of Torino. He pushed him clearly, so I don't understand because they didn't even go to review and everything. They said it's a goal. It's a goal. So why is VAR in Serie A? What decisions are they taking? I told you VAR is a fantastic tool to judge yes or no. Is there a foul? Is there a red card? Is there an offside? You can do so many things, but they are the people. People are deciding, are changing and pay attention because Serie A is manipulated with VAR decision. This season it has been so horrible. They already started last year's season with Inter. Now they are continuing to do mistake by mistake. Guys, be serious. Otherwise, it's complicated to judge a Serie A in a fair way. And I'm not speaking about Juventus. I'm speaking about all the teams involved. It's not doing a favor to one team or the other. It's just that I don't know when I have to tell you, yes, we are a serious league or not with the decisions of the referees. Guys, tomorrow, as I told you, Verona, Roma. And why is it important? Because if we are scrolling down and we go to the ranking, unfortunately, we have to open the full one to understand where Juventus is. Well, we see that Napoli is alone at 32, 27 for Atalanta, -5, and then -6 with the loss of Milan versus Napoli. Lazio 24 for Inter, 22 at the moment for Roma. Depending on tomorrow game, they can go potentially alone at top 4 with 25, which would mean that they would be 3 points over Juventus. If not, that means that we are at -2 from the 4. That is Lazio that lost 3-1 with Salernitana coming back with an incredible second half. Milinkovic-Savic, yellow card. He will not play the derby next week because, pay attention, it's not only Juve, Derby d'Italia versus Inter. It's not only Napoli versus Atalanta, but it's also Lazio versus Roma. Without Milinkovic-Savic, attenzione, a lot can be decided next week. A lot of result will count for Juventus. And that's why I'm thinking, guys. So we see it, Juventus is there at 22 with Udinese, Torino at 17, and with also at the moment Roma. 22 for every single team. It's crazy. Now, speaking about all these kind of things, guys, I have to admit that we have to be angry at ourselves. Juventus has to be angry at ourselves because, okay, let's put aside the Salernitana game. If you would have put a bit more intensity versus Sampdoria, if you would have started with the right mentality versus Monza, guys, we were there because now, I don't know if you know, but Juventus is the best defense of Serie A. The problem is not defending. The problem is offensive-minded team that wants to take some risks. And of course, if you are taking some risk, you are probably conceding a bit more goals. We understand. We agree on that. But I don't care if I have to concede 1 or 2 more goals and not being the best defense in Serie A, but at least scoring a bit more. Because with the goal that we scored today, we deserve to be 6th, 7th, 8th, or whatever position. I blame Juventus for the horrible start because except of Napoli that is running and going fantastically and they deserve to be there, we could have been third, second with all the injuries we have. I can't imagine the potential of this team with all these players that we would have. And I'm not using it as an excuse for the ranking of Juventus. Juventus with the available players from game 1 until 12, we should have been a lot more higher. We have to blame ourselves. But imagine the potential of the team. Now, of course, we are saying it's open again, the run towards that top 4 because we are at -2, virtually -3. But of course, next week we have to play versus Inter. First Paris Saint-Germain in the middle, and then Inter. If I'm going to watch Pueblo Juve, that was actually saying the list with adding up Ealing Jr. and McKennie, we have to speak about Pogba, Chiesa, Ake, Caio Jorge, Di Maria, Vlahovic, Paredes, De Sciglio, Bremer, Ealing Jr., Rugani. Attenzione for Rugani, that is not 100% informed. McKennie, Danilo, that will not be there versus PSG, will be there versus Inter, and Locatelli in yellow, because we don't know mentally if he will be ready to give 100% yes or no. So, versus Paris Saint-Germain, guys, I was starting to do a kind of lineup, continuing with three-man defense, Alexandro, Bonucci, and Gatti, because we have to play. We have not a lot of choices without Bremer, without Danilo. In the middle, four-man, Kostic on the left, Quadrado, yes, I know what you will say, but Quadrado on the right, and then in the two-man midfield, Rabiot and Fagioli, with the number 10, Miretti, not the trequartista, but the one that will reinforce the midfield, but also play between the lines behind Milik and Moiskin. That could be a team that can play versus Paris Saint-Germain. That can be also a really great test to see how we will line up versus Inter. Inter that is playing 3-5-2. We can go on mirror. It's a bit far, but it's an important game, Inter. Why? Because versus Inter, if we win, we have some hopes. If we don't win, all the result of last week and this week, well, they will be cancelled, because again, we will have a bit of gap. Guys, I am sad today because with a bit more of intensity, of belief, of win, of fino alla fine spirit, with a bit more of game, with a bit more of trust in ourselves, a bit of more of grinta, a bit of more of Juventinità, we could have been there. Not winning Serie A, not being first, Napoli is incredible, but there, because we are already there with a disaster season, because we have to admit it, it is a disaster season with Juventus. But with all the problems, we could have been there. I'm pissed off. Guys, this was it for me. Mini video. Hopefully you can watch it. Hopefully you can agree with me or not. Let me know if you are angry because we missed so many points. Do you think that we went to the max or not? I want to read some comments today. Grazie, forza, Juve.